when you have volumes and volumes of data, whether you're a machine shop and looking at productivity and efficiencies and you have, or if you're in cybersecurity, or if you're in healthcare or wherever, where there's volumes and volumes of data, using AI to recognize and pick up the patterns and give that to you in an actionable way. So that's the exciting thing. So that's what the connection, that's what I've been focusing on lately, is falling asleep.
Welcome to MMT Chats. This episode brought to you by ISCAR, with new ideas for machining intelligently.
Hey, MMT followers. I'm Christina Fuges with MoldMaking Technology, and I'm back for another quick MMT chat. My guest today is returning. It's Camille Sackett with Accede Mold and Tool. She is the VP of Sales and Marketing, and she is a current Editorial Advisory Board member. Hello, Camille.
Hi, Christina.
All right. So since joining MMT's EAB, you've changed positions a few times at Accede. So why don't you start off by sharing just a little snapshot of who Accede Mold is and your current role?
Sure. Gosh. So I started at Accede Mold and Tool in 1993 as a co-op in the engineering department. And I spent time doing working alongside a senior mold designer to learn mold design, and then eventually became a mold designer myself, senior mold designer and project manager. And so at Accede, our designers wear two hats. They're responsible for doing the design, and then they're the technical lead throughout the build portion and available to customers even while tools are in production. So I did that job for a long time. And then around 2015, I was asked to come on to the business side by helping the owner, Roger Fox, with quotes and estimating. Because of my experience as a project manager and mold designer, I was able to take those learnings with estimating. And did that for a fair amount of time, and that grew into sales and marketing. So more spending time visiting customers, understanding what their needs are, and going after projects and things like that. So it's evolved. And so today I am responsible for sales and marketing. I work with the owner to understand the direction that the business is looking to go after, what markets, and building those relationships and working with him on that. And as far as marketing, as a mold builder, we have 50 employees. We focus on high-end tech-forward solutions, so only Class 101 molds, production molds, so high volume. So Accede, about 30% of our work is in the medical space, 30% is in the consumer packaging type space, and then the last third is a mixed bag of industrial, automotive, things like that. We build high cavitation tools, stack molds, spin stack molds, which are used for two-shot. So every different flavor of two-shot that there is, whether it's rotary or core back, lift and rotate, etc. Those are the types of molds that we build. So I work with customers to make sure they understand where we fit in the work that they are needing to have done. Yeah, as far as marketing, what we do, we exhibit at various different events like NPE, which is coming up, which we're pretty excited about in May. And then as part of that, in growing my skills and knowledge and understanding of marketing, because like I mentioned, my background is my degrees are in engineering, mechanical engineering technology, and then also manufacturing. I've had to learn and come to understand what is sales and marketing, what are the skills and the tools. So I was able to build relationships at the Plastics Industry Association, and I've been serving for some years now on the Sales and Marketing Committee for NPE, for the show itself, which has been a wonderful opportunity to get to meet other people that was their core focus, is doing sales and marketing, so understanding what they're doing. And then I've also gone back to school. A big part of the culture at Accede is continuous education, continuous improvement, continuous growth. So I did start a combined BS MBA in business administration to help build my skills there as well. And just a class at a time, I just keep chugging along. It's a marathon, but the objective, what's neat about it, and the university likes it too, a lot of what they're teaching me, I'm able to take to the job and to the company and apply straight away. As far as what I'm really focusing on and learning now outside of the classroom through different lectures, different keynote presentations I've gone and seen, and then my own research with podcasts and things like that. Big focus on AI and the things that, what AI is going to be able to do for businesses going forward in analyzing data and all of the different sectors that it's going to apply to. So it's super interesting. And that's kind of where our focus is. My focus is for continuing my education, is getting up to speed with what's available right now. And then how do we take it and apply it and leverage that technology to our advantage?
To mold making. I love it. It seems like everything you just said is this natural evolution in your role, and even coming to sales and marketing. That seemed to be a natural fit. You're working through everything else, learning about the company, learning from customers, learning about technology. It just evolved naturally is what it seems like. And then your education is just kind of solidifying that even more. And then now you're going out to bring back in what you're learning from the outside, right? To improve the company.
Yeah. So our focus, again, it's always keeping your eye on that goal and the objective. We design and build plastic injection molds. Our mission is simple: mold making excellence and delivering that product to customers. So any efforts that we're taking, it's just keeping it simple, remembering that goal and focus. So as we're continuing education or vetting technology, the goal is quality, and bringing forward the right solution to produce a plastic injection molded part, and designing and building that mold to the customer. So taking out any fat or extra steps that don't put value directly into that product and the service for the customer, we want to look to cut that out, right?
Exactly,
So
yeah.
if we can leverage AI to do that, to keep things simple as far as reviewing data and things like that, we want to do that.
Keep me in the loop on that, because I smell a story there with AI and mold making, right? I want that.
Yeah.
Now, related to that, in terms of listening to the customer and coming up with solutions, we got to talk a little bit about remote validation. And I know you spoke about that at our mold making conference not too long ago, and we had a separate video, but give us a little quick recap about what that actually is and where that came from, because that was serving the customer better, right? In a challenging time.
And it's, as you said, just there's sort of the natural evolution and keeping the focus on the mold and delivering the mold to the customer. Part of the services that Accede provides to customers is when we design and build a mold, we have 4 different sampling presses that, the smallest press we have is 120 ton. The largest press that we have is a 720 ton. And we've got 2-shot capabilities in-house to test our molds. We don't run production parts for customers. We're not a molder. We don't want to compete with our customers. But part of the process is when we design it and build it, we want to test it and make sure it functions. Well, through the pandemic, normal course of business would be customers would come to Accede and spend about a week with us to go through that first mold sample. We'd hang the mold, you wait for it to come up to temperature. Before that, you do all your plumbing. These things take time. And then you'd have a sampling plan of what are your objectives? What do you want to test? The mechanics of the mold. Then you get into some process development of the mold. And then you would tear the mold down, take it out of the press and put it on the bench, tear it apart, do inspection of everything. With the pandemic, travel bans are in place and no one can fly or leave or come to visit Accede. So what do we do for continuing those operations, those things that are necessary? We're fortunate that we have leveraged some of the hobbies and skills and knowledge of our team. We had someone on board that their wife had a wedding photography business, and he helped with that in doing some video editing and things like that to make slideshows or clips of their wedding. He was very comfortable and had some experience and knowledge, was techie with different software that was available to edit videos and films. So we were able to get cameras for this remote mold validation. So we've got a camera pointed to and looking at the mold running, so seeing the mechanics of the mold, a camera on the controls of the press, and then a camera on a microscope that we could look at plastic parts under. And you have a cable that goes from your camera to your laptop, and you're able to manipulate the screen so that you can see if you want to just focus on looking at the part under the microscope. You can have a driver, a human, that says, okay, that's what this display is going to be, just the part under magnification, etc. And you can record that screen and make it part of a Zoom meeting. So like right now, you're on a camera, I'm on a camera. There'd be a third window that would show the feeds from our cameras that we've got on our press. So we've continued to do that. And initially it was only done because we wanted the customer to be able to be a part and collaborate and get their feedback in real time on these samples. But post-pandemic, we've realized that this is still a value for customers because they don't have to spend a week and spend that time sitting idly in a conference room waiting for things to be ready. They can just be a part of a Zoom meeting and participate when they want to. That said, there is a lot of value of having a customer come on site, spend time with you, talk to the team, and get information and data and learning throughout that week. But that person, our customer, he's part of a larger team as well. And now in using it as a hybrid, the tooling engineer that's here going through the qualification process, they now have the opportunity to bring a larger pool of people in, or even their customer, to be a part of that mold validation process. And it's worked fantastic because in the world today, let's say there's a group on the Northeast that's responsible for sourcing a mold and getting it ready to go to production. And then maybe it's going to run production on the other side of the country or on another continent. You can bring those people in from those other facilities with this remote mold validation process right from the beginning, so that they don't feel that their tooling engineer is throwing a mold in their lap. They're part of the process. They're able to get some training. They're able to ask their questions in real time. It's not that playing telephone, Bob asks Mary to ask Accede. Mary can be involved, and Gary and whoever, everybody's involved at that process, while we're going through those first debug iterations.
That's the ultimate in collaboration. What a great collaboration tool. All right. So that's a good segue to people. So speaking of people, I know getting to know you over the years, you are passionate about mentoring. So let's talk a little bit about some of the positive trends that you see as we move closer to this 2030, where a lot of these baby boomers are going to be retiring. But what are that could be a negative thing. So what are some positive trends you're seeing with the next generation when it comes to what you're seeing through mentoring?
Yeah, and so I'm as an engineer, I'm a big stats person, and I am a baseball mom. So I am big in wrestling, so big stats. So we have 50 employees. Of that mix, 9 out of the 50 have more than 30 years of service, 30 or more years of service. 8 have 20 to 30 years of service. 10% have 10 to 20. And then we have 22 people, so almost half, with 10 years or less.
Okay.
So there's a good mix of older and younger. We've got 7 women employees. We've got Karina, who's working in wire, leading the department. We have one woman in EDM, and then also a younger engineer who is a female, which is crazy that I'm at this point. She's a year older than my daughter. So we're excited. It's not just preaching. We need to get out there, and we need to be engaged with the community, and we need to bring more people. We've been very proactive in participating in manufacturing days, making sure, we're screaming it from the mountains that mold making is a trade, and that it's a trade worth pursuing. It's such a, I can't speak highly enough of it. I didn't know about the industry before I fell into my first co-op. Like most people in the industry, you sort of fall into it because you knew a person. And what I love about mold making and mold design, my first co-op was for a large OEM, and they spend a lot of time doing design and bringing a product to market with R&D. There's people, my first co-op was with Eastman Kodak. You can spend an entire career working on a product and then it might die. Where for me, as a tool designer, you have 3-4 weeks that you're doing a tool design, and then you're on to the next. And I'm fortunate with Accede is they've always had that tech forward, cutting edge vision of, our niche is coming up with solutions for complex part geometries. So there's always that challenge of figuring out how are we going to collaborate and come up with a tool design to make this work mechanically, and then to be able to see the variety of parts. So it's not like we're only doing consumer packaging or only doing medical or only doing automotive. We do complex and do, let's say, again, two-shot applies to all of those sectors. So the cadence of it is super exciting. It's so much fun to be able to constantly be learning and seeing something new. So that's a big draw. It's one of those, if you're a mechanical engineering student, it's such a broad, it's just, you've got a toolbox, and what do you do with this toolbox? So connecting, making sure people know and are aware of the trade. And so how we do that, we participate in manufacturing days. We are in our high schools doing open houses. And that's one of the things, I've got 3 kids. My oldest graduated high school in 2020. My youngest will be graduating in 2025. And it's been interesting to see the difference from when Mia was going through and approaching college age. The focus was only, the pathway is going to university. Now that I see with my youngest, Chase, in the last year was the first year I saw it happen. They're not just doing a college orientation night for parents of freshmen, high school students. They're also making it a platform to talk about the trades and what the opportunities are with trades. And again, a lot of parents, if you talk to the people in your network and your friends in your community, when you say trades, they think of carpenters, home builders, electricians, plumbers. They don't think about advanced manufacturing or specifically the niche of mold making. So that's why we're there. We show up. We're going to be at Fairport High School next Wednesday at their open house. We're going to have a booth set up promoting mold making. We are going to be at Webster Schrader at their open house on their trades and their college night promoting the trade. And so that's what we're doing to be able to make sure that we've got 20% of our workforce is under 30.
That's the positive outlook I was looking for. They're great numbers. Yeah.
It's a lot of work and dedication. And again, we're a family owned business, small business, 50 employees. And as I mentioned, our focus is mold building excellence. So it's tapping every single person inside the organization to say, we need if you love your job and we want you to share your passion about it. And we do. And so the other thing a lot of our employees do, we've got mentors that work with First Robotics. I don't know if you're familiar with Dean Kamen's first program. We've got employees that will volunteer and serve as mentors in First Robotics. And then also even Danielle Fox, the owner's daughter, she runs one of the competitions, the Finger Lakes Regional. So again, we're sponsoring. They've got the Accede logo on their shirts, and then what does that mean? Mold making. So it takes work.
It does take work, and it's worth it.
Not easy.
Yeah,
I think so.
All right. Last but not least, I know that you're an avid reader and a lifelong learner, as you say. What has been, or what is your latest book or podcast? Give us a little insight as to what's interesting to you.
So, and again, it all kind of meshes and merges. So my children have had to hear all about mold making for their whole entire lives. They've grown up in and around Accede forever. But unfortunately or fortunately, they have all decided to go into biology as their study instead of engineering. And you can see, so that's their way of rebelling is to study biology. But so with that introduced me to, because I wanted to be able to, conversation around the dinner table. my focus is always on physics. I didn't spend much time doing biology.
Right.
So I've become completely obsessed
Uh-oh.
with the Huberman Lab. Have you heard this podcast?
No.
Andrew Huberman. So he's one of the top health and wellness podcasts that are in the country right now. He's a neurobiologist and an ophthalmologist at Stanford University. So he'll do all these different lectures on science, and his mission and platform focus is to get basically public education for science. So that's where it's lit me up in that way. And that he'll do lectures on science. And for listeners, anyone that has a chance, and it meshes and merges with the whole AI thing. He recently just did an interview with Mark Zuckerberg and his wife, Dr. Priscilla Chan. They have the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, talking about AI, how it's being used and the investment and all of that. And so super interesting to hear and learn about the metaverse and how doctors and how they'll be using AI to, like right now you go to a doctor everything's very siloed. You are a dermatologist or you are a heart specialist or whatever. So taking all of the data that all of these different silo specialties are doing and finding connections and patterns. They're leveraging AI to do that. So if your son has different issues and things like that, and he's taking different medications, and there might be symptoms that are happening, like if you're taking a medication, how it's affecting the pancreas. Well, you might not know that, but they're using AI to connect the work that those doctors are doing. So when, I have friends that have gotten diagnosed with MS, or they think it's MS or whatever, and they're having all these symptoms and they can't connect and realize. And so leveraging AI to be able to figure out some of those patterns and how that's going to affect disease and things like that. So that's the side I think of AI that we all can embrace and not be afraid of, is when you're looking at the research and data to just improve your health. It's so exciting what they're going to learn. I love that. That's when you have volumes and volumes of data, whether you're machine shop and looking at productivity and efficiencies or if you're in cybersecurity, or if you're in healthcare or wherever, where there's volumes of data, using AI to recognize and pick up the patterns and give that to you in an actionable way that you can fix. And so that's the exciting thing. So that's what the connection, that's what I've been focusing on lately, is falling asleep listening to 3-hour lectures from Andrew Huberman. I love it. And it's all because of your kids rejected mold making. So now you're going in. Rejected my daughter's boyfriend, though, and again, you'll love this, it won't surprise you. So my daughter's boyfriend is a biomedical engineering student. And so when he came to visit for the summer, I said, you have to come into Accede, because if you're looking to design medical devices, you need to know and understand plastics and manufacturing. So walked him through the shop and he got to see tools, and it was cute. When he went back to campus, he was texting me and asking me questions. And he says, he'd seen a 2-shot mold, and he said, no, can they do a 3-shot tool, or are you limited by the injection units? How would you? And he got it. And then he's actually looking to take extra classes. He's a student at Duquesne. He's a student at Duquesne, and it sounds like he's looking to try and take some extra classes at Penn State Barron to understand plastics. Wow. So you did it. I'm relentless. I love it. That's the way everybody needs to be that way. That's fantastic. All right. Well, Camille, thank you so much for your time and giving us just a little bit more about you. Great information. I mean, you just continue to grow. You're amazing. You give me a lot to think about, a lot of good stuff that's happening within mold making, within plastics, within manufacturing. We all need to focus on the opportunity and growth that's happening. So thank you for that. Absolutely. Always a pleasure to catch up with you. All right. And for everybody watching, for everything mold making, visit moldmakingtechnology.com.